Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson, and you are watching my walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild for Nintendo Wii U and Switch. So, whenever you see patches of leaves like this, they always have goodies underneath them, whether that be Koroks or a treasure chest. And the options to get rid of the leaves is to either use fire arrows, flame weapons, or flint, or you can use wind, which would be a Korok leaf or Rivali's Gale, or you can just use explosions, which would be bomb arrows or just regular bombs. Now, of all those options, bombs are definitely the most economical by far. I was just showing the burning option real quick just because I can, but yes, use bombs on leaves from now on. Alright, so in the last video, we ascended Satori Mountain and got a teleport point up here. So now we're finally ready to explore and get all the goodies here. The first thing that we're trying to get is the Ancient Bridle, and this is only available if you have the DLC. If you don't have that, you can kind of ignore this chest I'm about to get, but everything else in this video will totally work for you. But yes, I would say this is the highest priority of why I was coming here, so that we could summon our horse whenever we want. Our first destination is the pool just north of the Moglatan Shrine, where you'll find a single sakura tree that is always in bloom. Now, so it's dropping all of these cherry blossom petals all over the ground, so I think it's really cool. Look at this pool when you're running through it, it all moves around. It's just sweet looking. But anyways, very magical, very pretty, and that's all cool. And what we're looking for around here, there is some Silent Princess, which is pretty valuable, but it's okay. They're actually not that hard to get. What's more valuable by far is actually the Endura carrots, and that's what we're here for. So grab all those, and you'll notice for me it is actually night, so I did have a Stal Lizalfos here, and this particular one has shock arrows. I'm pretty sure with my current amount of life that will kill me instantly. I think it does 3 hearts of damage. Either that or it'll leave me over the quarter heart. Regardless, I'm scared of it, so I was hiding behind the tree. Now, I can either run forward and smack it, but just in case I don't do enough damage, I was trying to just shoot it with my bow instead. And if you hit them in the horn on their head, it will instantly kill them, so that's what I was trying to do there. This particular one also dropped a Strengthened Lizal bow, which is kind of a mid-tier bow. It's pretty nice, honestly, so really good for this point in the game. So our actual objective here is to get this chest that is just right below the Sakura tree. So use Magnesis on it. This will reveal an EX chest, and again, this is only available if you purchase the DLC. This rewards us with the Ancient Bridle, which is one of 2 pieces that we need of the horse gear that will allow us to summon our horse whenever we want, which is pretty cool. So you can be anywhere in Hyrule and just whistle to summon your horse to your location, which is very helpful. So next I'm going to paraglide over to the northwest corner of Satori Mountain and get some stuff along the mountainside as well as down near the water. There's a bunch of chests that are just scattered around Hyrule in general, and Satori has a whole bunch of them that are a little bit nicer overall. I'm not going to get all of the chests. You can totally explore a little bit more and get more, especially using the Zelda Dungeon interactive map or one of the other maps that are online. So you can do that if you want to and collect even more goodies. I'm just getting the ones that, in my opinion, are the most valuable. Alright, so quick trivia for you. During the time of Breath of the Wild's development, Nintendo had their president, of the company, who was Satoru Iwata, and he actually died during the development of Breath of the Wild. So there was a lot of times when the staff members who were currently working on stuff, they come up with a new puzzle, whatever, and they're like, oh man, that is so exciting, that's so cool, I can't wait to show Iwata, and they'd be like, oh no, and they'd realize, belatedly that he was not around anymore, and so they kept catching themselves having that happen and stuff. It was a very sad time for them because they all looked up to him and respected him so much. He was a big part of the company, and he was kind of the voice of Nintendo, or the face of it for a lot of years, and he was pretty transparent with a lot of media outlets and stuff too, and he was really pretty vocal about being connected and stuff like that and answering questions and stuff. So he was just really pleasant and stuff to talk to. And he was really smart, and he was also, a lot of people associate Eiji Aonuma or Shigeru Miyamoto with Zelda, but Iwata actually had a pretty big influence on the development and direction that the Zelda series went, just in general, just so you know. So anyways, Iwata is actually a pretty big name when it comes to Zelda, and he's not around anymore. So what they did is they actually made this mountain in honor of him. So anyway, this entire mountain is a memorial to Satoru Iwata, the late president of Nintendo, and the word Satori is a play off of his family name, and that is actually, it means enlightenment in Japanese. So it's, again, a word play, but again, they did that on purpose to honor him, is kind of the idea. So there's a lot of little cultural things in there. I don't really personally understand all the nuances, and I haven't researched it super thoroughly. I've more heard about it in passing and stuff. But yeah, anyways, there's a bunch of articles and stuff online. If you want to read up more about it and stuff and learn about this, you can totally do that. And in particular, one of the interesting things to know is that there's a bunch of goodies up here, which is great, but also there is a horse-like thing here. It's a glowing horse deer deity thing that you can grab, and you can ride that around Hyrule, and it's pretty sweet. You can't actually register it at a stable, but you can ride it around, and it's just fun. It is kind of rare, and it's hard to find, and I just don't feel like sitting around for night after night to try and find it, so I probably won't show it in this walkthrough, but just know it's a thing. If you would like to explore that and experience that yourself, you can find several guides online for how to find the Lord of the Mountain on Satori. But yes, that's my vague PSA about all that. I have all this like Zelda trivia that I have acquired over the years, just through like casual conversations with other Zelda fans. Like they just say something in passing, and I'd be like, "Oh, really? I didn't know that." And then I retain that, and then I whip it out for videos like this. So I didn't like research that super thoroughly at all. In fact, I'm getting that like second or third hand or whatever. So, anyways, just know that like my details might be slightly off, but I'm pretty sure that's all accurate. But anyways, if somebody's watching that right now and you got like some more trivia to share, or you have some corrections or whatever, like feel free to share with the group, because I'm sure myself as well as other viewers would really appreciate that, and that'd be cool. You know, I will say too, along those same lines, is I really like the Zelda community. The Zelda fandom is like super friendly and helpful, and like constantly trying to like help people solve puzzles and stuff like that. And it's all like we're all on the same journey of like just messing around together. And like sometimes it can get a little intense when it comes to like fan theories and arguing back and forth. But other than that, like honestly, the Zelda community as a whole is like very helpful and polite with each other and stuff. And I just think that's really cool. Like it's just compared to other series, for example, just all the Zelda fans are like always coming together and like sharing pictures and cool ideas and like helping each other out and stuff like that. And I think it's a really beautiful thing. All right, maybe I should spend some time talking about the actual game. But, you know, I don't think anybody minded, you know. It's a rabbit trail, but it was a good one, you know. You don't mind rabbit trails, right? I mean, if you didn't like rabbit trails, you wouldn't be playing Breath of the Wild, right? Because it's an exploration game. It's getting distracted is what this game's all about. So I'm just staying in theme. That's what's happening. All right, at long last, I'm replacing my Traveler's Claymore with a Forest Dweller Spear. Now, this is actually a pretty significant thing because it does 1 more damage, and you're like, all right, but it attacks 3 times as fast. So it's just consider that. It's a significant upgrade. Anyways, in the northeast corner of Satori Mountain, there's a whole bunch of Hearty stuff. Now, in particular, the Hearty durians are super valuable, so I grabbed those a little bit ago in the video. But I'm also heading down here to this little valley where there is a bunch of big Hearty radishes often here. And there's usually somewhere between like 2 and 4. I think I got lucky and there happened to be 4 this time. But regardless, just I like to pass through here and check. And but yeah, super nice. So further on to the east, there is more goodies over here, and something to know about ore veins is they come in different colors, and I didn't really quite understand, I didn't realize the distinction at first, is that there's like a black rock, and then if it has little gemmy things on it. The gems, if they are black, then that means it's common. If they're silver, that means it's medium quality, and if they're gold, that means it's high quality. So in this example, the low quality one gave me flint, the high quality one dropped an amber, however it ran away from me and I couldn't get it. But anyway, something interesting to know about that is that the rare veins are almost always in the same places. So if you find a rare vein, you can place a pin on your map, and then that way you know to come check those places again if you're ever in the area again. So this might be an option for you too to mark this one, because you might come back to Satori to get more goodies later on. So by the way, as far as breaking ore, a couple things you can do is you can use bombs. The problem is it makes the ore go flying. So that is an option. That probably wasn't the smartest thing for me to do right there. What I should have done is I should have used my iron sledgehammer. In fact, that's one of the main reasons why I have it, is so that I can smack ore. But what I would recommend you do is go ahead and use bombs just because it's cheaper. You use less weapon durability when you're on like flat areas where the ore can't go flying too far. But if you are on like the edge of a mountain kind of thing, then you definitely want to use a sledgehammer instead, or other weapons, so you can guarantee that you don't have stuff go flying. So this pinwheel Korok was freaking me out. Apparently I needed to back up because the location that actually makes these balloons appear was actually the grass right behind it, apparently, and not the pinwheel itself. So just something to be aware of with these pinwheel ones. If you can't find the exact location, it's probably because just look for like whatever looks like the most iconic, suspiciously like, where is the target location that they're wanting me to stand? And that's probably where you need to go. Now for these balloons, just know that any kind of balloon Korok thing like this, they always follow a set pattern. So if you're struggling trying to aim at it, just aim at where the balloon is going to be. So this one is in a square, for example, just go to the obvious location. Or like, hover your cursor over it, but don't actually shoot, and then just wait there, and then just wait for the balloon to come back around, and it'll eventually do it. So that's how you do all of those balloon puzzles. It's not really that big a deal. I hope you like apples, because we're about to get a whole bunch of them. So Satori Mountain has the largest apple grove in the entire game. I actually kind of recorded this at the time. I was just kind of thinking it'd be funny, just because I thought it'd be ridiculous, both because I don't think a lot of people even know this apple grove exists, and the first time people see it, they're like, whoa. But I also just thought it'd be funny. Like, I wanted to blow up all the trees, leave all the apples on the ground, then collect them all at once and fast forward through it, so it's like, I just thought the idea of the sound, a little notification popping up on the side of the screen would be funny. So that's why I did this. I was actually thinking at the time that apples are terrible and that I probably wouldn't use them very much, but I actually ended up just eating them just because I felt free to do so because I had so many of them. And what ended up happening, which really shocked me, at this point I've actually recorded most of the gameplay at the time I'm recording this commentary. And the apples that I got from this one farming session ended up lasting me for over half of the game. Like, I was able to heal myself with pretty much just apples for almost the entire game, which is crazy. I'm really shocked by that, actually. So it actually ended up being more useful than I thought it was going to be, and so I did this thinking it would be dumb, but I'm kind of feeling like a little more in favor of this method. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just blowing them all up with bombs, and I'm picking up any apples that are rolling off the plateau, because I just don't want to waste them, but I'm trying to leave as many as possible on the plateau itself so that I can collect them all at once, is what I'm trying to do. Now, generally speaking, just so you know, my personal opinion is that regular food items, generally speaking, are not worth getting at all. Like, you're way better off just getting a whole bunch of Hearty food, would be my recommendation. So, like, go here and go to Farron and get Hearty durians in particular to make some really good healing items, and then otherwise you can just avoid all these low-tier stuff entirely. It's just not worth it. I will say, though, as I was explaining, I was really surprised at how good these apples ended up being, just for, like, topping off my health, because I just had so many of them, it didn't matter. Like, I just would be a couple hearts shy, whatever, and I'd just use some of those. One of the things I started doing in the middle of bombing all these trees is I started picking up some apples. The reason for that is because I remembered kind of after the fact that you can actually blow up wood. After you've created wood on the ground, if you use another bomb on it, it'll actually blow it up and it disappears. So then I was worried that maybe I was blowing up my apples. I don't think so, though. Looking back at this recording, it looks like the apples are staying put even after I blow them up when they're already on the ground. So just so you know, there is also a woodcutter's axe leaning up against one of the trees, but I don't think it's worth picking up for a couple reasons. We don't actually even have enough durability on that weapon to chop all the trees, so it'll break before we've chop down all the trees anyway, so that's one thing about it. But bombs are just more efficient overall. They don't make the apples explode, which I was worried about that, but they don't do that anyways. The only thing that's the downside of them is the fact that they can blow up the wood after I've already created it on the ground. So that's a bummer, but that doesn't really, as long as you're just careful with your placement, it doesn't matter. But bombs are faster. Like, it takes less swings. You can, as opposed to an axe, you can hit multiple trees at once. It's just better. You can create wood with it at the same time. It's just good. 134 apples. Now, some of those were, of course, ones I had before. I'm not sure how many I started with. I think it was like 20 or something. So anyways, I got a whole bunch of apples, though. It's pretty great. Before you leave, I would recommend you collect some of the wood as long as we're here. We're going to want some wood at some point, and we're pretty far away from Rutile Village, so we can't get that massive amount of wood yet. But this is a pretty decent spot as long as we're here anyways, and we've already knocked down a bunch of trees. Alright, so next we're heading to the Saflina Grove. Now, the thing about Satori Mountain is that it doesn't have like a massive amount of, there's not any one particular thing that it's like, this is the place to go, except for Endura Carrots, I guess. But anyways, generally speaking, Satori Mountain just has a wide variety of everything. It has has pretty decent quality of most ingredients in the entire game. So it's a really nice place to go in general. Like I say, it has a small amount of just everything. It's kind of the jack-of-all-trades mountain, which is pretty cool. So Saflinas, you have cool, warm, and electric here, which is pretty sweet. More valuable, in my opinion, is actually the swift carrots. Swift carrots are pretty rare. You can feed them to your horse to increase its speed for a little while, give it a buff. But you can also use it to make good speed buffs for yourself, and it's a pretty decent ingredient for that. Anyway, Satori Mountain is one of the best places to find swift carrots, and they're kind of rare, honestly, so it's just a really nice thing early game to be able to do that, especially for buffing your horse. You feed your horse a swift carrot, it'll go faster, and we're going to be riding our horse a lot in the coming videos. So one of the really good items you want to get early on is Endura Carrots, and there's a couple of them here at this pool just south of the shrine, and also the one just north of the shrine, which is actually pretty cool. So just within easy access of the Maglotan Shrine, you have the pool just north, just south, and each one of those has 4 Endura Carrots, so you have 8 total. You can get in very little time at all. Within like a minute of going to Maglotan, you can get 8 Endura Carrots, which makes 8 different Endura dishes, which is amazing. I'll explain more what I mean by that later, but that's really good stamina food right there. Super easy. So a little bit further south, there is a giant skeleton here at night, or during the day. At night, it'll actually wake up, and this is a Stalnox. Now, every Stalnox you should mark because there are 10 of them total in the game. One of them is in Hyrule Castle, guarding the Hylian shield, but the other ones all have elemental weapons. So this particular one will always have a flame blade. So if you're looking for a flame blade, you can always farm it by coming to Satori Mountain at night. So we're going to want a flame blade here very shortly. We're going to be using it a lot. However, I'm going to be getting a chest that has a free flame blade pretty shortly, so I'm going to get that. So that's what I'm planning ahead for. So you can kill that Stalnox if you want to get it one early. However, it doesn't really matter too much for what we're going to do. So part of my goal with this video is I'm kind of trying to show a lot of cool places on Satori, like places that people didn't know exist. So here we have the spicy camp. There's a whole bunch of spicy peppers here, so this is the best place to get them in the entire game. However, just so you know, we're kind of getting past the point where spicy peppers are even useful, because they don't give you very much cold resistance anyways. It is a little bit different though, because you can always supplement some of your ingredients with spicy peppers. So if you have like a couple high tier hot ingredients and a couple low tier ones, you can get the most duration and be very efficient with your material usage. So there is some times when spicy peppers could still technically be useful, but not for very long. We'll honestly get like, I don't know, for a few videos where basically these will be completely obsolete. So I'm just pointing out this area because I think it's cool, but just so you know, spicy peppers aren't really super worth it. I'm going to continue on to the east a little bit. There is this wall you can break with bombs, and there's a topaz inside this chest. All these chests, by the way, you can only get once. Skull chests are the only ones that reappear. And by the way, you can continue on to the east, and down in the valley, actually, there's like a little patch of trees with some grass nearby, and that actually has a whole bunch of, I think, stamina shrooms, I want to say. There's like 7 of them or 8 of them or something like that. It's kind of a nice amount of them, actually. So if I had kept going to the east, I could have gotten those mushrooms. I forgot for this recording, but just so you know, that's one other little patch that's kind of nice. So I realized partway through my travels up here, I was planning to mark my map, and I thought about just abandoning these, and I was like, well, that's a little bit weird. I realized we don't have a map yet, so I just have to go there physically to actually figure out exactly where these places are, and I'm placing the mark right on top of myself. But anyways, I'm just putting leaves on all the places where I'm planning to mark where materials are. And so that is for, in this case, I'm marking the locations of Endura shrooms, Hearty radishes, and Hearty durians real quick. Alright, so once again, we're going to the South Pool, which is just right here south of the Mogloton Shrine. This is where I got some Endura shrooms, but just to the right here, just over this edge, there is actually some cracked rocks that are up against this wall. So what I'm doing is I'm using a round bomb so it rolls down the hill, and then detonating it right next to it so it'll cause this to blow up, which reveals a chest containing 100 rupees. So that's a nice little amount. Also be warned as you're going down this hill that there are some boulders that will try to kill you, so just be warned of that. Now at this point, I was trying to go off to the left and I got confused. I was trying to go to, on my little picture here, I have it listed as Shroom Woods. That's where I was trying to go, but I would recommend you go there because it has a bunch of elemental shrooms, which are pretty decent quality, honestly. It was straight ahead and to the left is where it is, but I got confused and I ended up going right instead. But anyways, I would recommend you go there and get those mushrooms, though instead I just went to Rutile Lake instead. So coming from this angle towards Rutile Lake, there is several Octoroks. I think there's like something like 6 or 8 here. But they're a pain. I don't like Octoroks at all. They're so annoying. But they tend to follow you forever, especially if you're not moving very fast. And the trick to defeating them is you need to shoot an arrow at them like where they will be by the time you fire. So you kind of like taunt them into showing themselves and then wait. They only fire, by the way, when you're far enough away. Something else you can do is you can throw a bomb, probably a square bomb so it doesn't move around, but throw a bomb at their location and then don't actually blow it up. What you want to do is you want to back up so they'll actually show themselves, and while they're vulnerable like that, then you can detonate the bomb. So you throw a bomb at them, back up, once they show themselves, detonate it, and that will take care of them. So you lay a trap. So as I expressed on the Great Plateau, the best way to collect coarser bee honey is to use bombs. This will take care of the bees so you don't have to run away from them, but it will also, if you aim at the correct location anyways, you can use the explosion to knock down the bee honey as well, and then collect it. By the way, whenever you're killing these Octoroks, try to check after they're defeated to see if they drop Octoballoons. Octoballoons are the more rare of the different materials they can drop. However, it's not like super rare compared to other enemies anyways, but they are a very useful item that allows you to lift other objects, and there's funny little things you can do with the physics engine in this game. Octoballoons are particularly useful for completing various Korok puzzles. However, there is some other puzzles, in particular for some of the shrine quests, where having Octoballoons is very handy, so try to at least have a couple of these. I would recommend you try to have like at least 3 or 4 at any given time. So here's the bomb method. I threw that first bomb poorly, but you can see the bush is wiggling over there, but just throw a bomb at it, walk away so that it taunts the Octorok to firing at you again, and then detonate the bomb once it shows itself, and that will defeat it. So it's pretty nice way of doing it. So if you find it stressful using the bow and arrow, that's another alternative for you. So anyway, I'm going to just fast forward through a lot of this right now, but just so you know, there's several good things we're getting here in Rutile Lake. In particular, the Fleet Lotus Seed, I think, is probably the most valuable thing we're getting here right now, which that will make some really awesome speed buffs so that we can do some of these next sections really quickly if you like. Also, there's several Silent Shrooms here. Silent Shrooms make some of the best stealth food in the game, and so that's actually pretty cool. However, I have a better location to get Silent Shrooms that we'll have access to here very shortly, so while it is cool that we're getting Silent Shrooms here, it doesn't really matter too much because we're about to gain access to tons of them. As far as other highlights in this area, there is several different Korok seeds. I'll point out one of them later, but most of these are pretty self-explanatory. Again, there's one of those circle rock puzzles, and you need to throw a rock into it using Cryonis, and it's not a big deal. There is a chest that has a giant boomerang. I don't really like the giant boomerang very much. It's a two-hander. The damage on it is pretty nice. I honestly am not really sure what the point is of most thrown weapons, honestly. Like, I know some people really like the Trilazal boomerangs, for example. I think the throwing arc on them is slightly different. Other than that, I'm not really sure what is the benefit of them versus other one-handers. Like, most one-handers are just a little bit better. I'd rather get Royal Broadswords because those are really plentiful and very easy to get. Meanwhile, Trilazal boomerangs, you have to really fight for them, and they do less damage. So I'm just not really sure what the point is. If somebody in the comments knows, like, why you would use a throwing weapon as opposed to a regular weapon and throw it or something, then let me know. But the advantage of throwing weapons is that it consumes double durability, does double damage, and staggers enemies very easily. So it can be kind of nice, especially to throw an enemy off guard, or like knock them to the ground, then run over and smack them with another weapon real quick, or pick up the weapon you just thrown is kind of the idea. But yeah, generally speaking, I don't really think thrown weapons are, or as far as the type, the damage type and stuff on them, I don't think it's very good. They just typically have lower stats compared to other weapons. Maybe, actually, wait, maybe that's the thing. Maybe they have a higher chance of staggering enemies or something. I haven't done any tests on that or anything, I'm just kind of musing aloud as I'm recording this. There's a Korok here that can be slightly tricky. This is another one of those ball and chain puzzles. However, how this one works is there is a ball on either end. So what you want to do is you want to actually put one inside one stump and then grab the other end and put it in the other one. Now, if you pull too far, then you will actually pull the first rock out of the stump. And so if you're struggling with that and having problems, then all you have to do is place it and use stasis on it on the one end. And that way you can pull it as tight as you want. It doesn't matter, so that you can easily place the other side. Occasionally you'll see these yellow flowers for getting Koroks, and there's a couple different kinds. This particular one is you have to do them in the proper order, numbering sequentially. So get one flower, then two flowers, then three. The fourth one in this particular case is actually on top of the stump in the middle, but it's covered in spikes. So to get to it, the easiest way, in my opinion, is just to fly to it. So you can just climb one of the nearby trees and then sail down to it, and that's not too bad. If you want to, you can optionally burn the thorns that are around it. And how you do this is just use a fire arrow. Otherwise, a regular fire weapon actually does not work. What you can do, though, is you can place a campfire nearby and then use either flint or a flame weapon to light that on fire. And then if it's close enough, it'll just set it on fire by itself. But otherwise, you can also just walk over it with a regular arrow with your bow out, and then that will light your arrow on fire, and you can burn it with that. So continue on to the north and collect more materials. In particular, the Hearty durians are kind of the other thing of value here. But that's kind of all the goodies here in Rutile Lake. So the three things that were of in particular value here is the Hearty durians for healing, the Fleet Lotus seed for speed, and the Endura shrooms for stamina options. And it's honestly like Endura shrooms are pretty low tier. They're kind of the lowest tier, honestly, for Endura items. However, even just a single one will give you a full stamina wheel, which early game is absolutely amazing. That's crazy how good that is. So anyways, it might not seem like it. We got a lot of goodies here on Satori Mountain, so we're going to cook up all this stuff, and it'll be amazing. In fact, most of these dishes will last me, anyways, for the entire game. Which it might not seem like it, but this is like ridiculously good, all the stuff we got. Also, it gave us a lot of just elemental stuff too, which will be useful for resistances. In particular, up ahead I have some zap shrooms for you too, which is very handy. Alright, so next up we have the shroom woods over to the far southwest, and I actually sailed from the far west, so now I'm heading south to reach it. But this kind of curves around in an L shape and just collect all the goodies along the way. There's a whole bunch of mushrooms here that are pretty good, but there's also a bunch of beetles. Now, I don't really think the beetles are super worthwhile. If you want to collect them, go ahead and sneak up on them and do so. Honestly, a lot of these beetles in Breath of the Wild are kind of garbage. They're not very low tier, and they don't make very good elixirs. However, energetic rhino beetles are amazing, so those ones are really good. All the rest of them are kind of terrible. But something worth noting about them is if you do collect them, then at least it gives you the opportunity to sell them to Beetle. The character by that name occasionally is looking for beetles, and when you speak with him, then he will mention he has a particular beetle of the day kind of that he wants to purchase. So you can sell a bunch of them to him if you have enough in your inventory and make some extra cash on the side. So it's just kind of a nice little thing. So like, just so you know, even though I'm not going to be cooking with those, it's just free money. So it's kind of like, if it's easy to get, then go for it. I wouldn't go out of your way to get like rugged and bladed rhino beetles, but if they're easy to get, then go for it. So the best place on Mount Satori to get stamina food is definitely the Endura carrots at the top of the mountain, actually. So there's 4 of them in the North Pool, and there's 4 of them in the South Pool, just right next to the shrine. So you just go to each location and grab those, and then you can just warp away, and you're done. You can make 8 stamina dishes from that, which is crazy. And Endura carrots are worth more, as far as they give you more stamina than these shrooms do. The shrooms don't give you as much. But anyways, if you are early game where you have like just 1 stamina wheel or like 1.5 stamina wheels or whatever, then getting stamina shrooms and Endura shrooms are really profitable. Like or not as far as money, but as far as how much stamina you get out of it. It's very efficient. So this little woods right here with all these shrooms is like really great early game. So amazing. In fact, I got so much stamina from this that it lasts me the entire game. I never had to come back for Satori Mountain for stamina stuff at all, which is kind of crazy. So one of the stressful things early game in Breath of the Wild is just the fact that you don't have a lot of stamina, and also the fact that it rains all the time. Rain makes it very difficult to climb, and also not having a lot of stamina makes it very difficult to climb as well. It's not really as big of a deal once you have more stamina, but until then, climbing can be really awkward and stressful, and you have to be really careful about how you do it. So what stamina dishes allow you to do is basically climb forever. You can climb anything. It doesn't matter how tall it is. You can do it, regardless, even if it's raining. Even if it's raining, you can climb in it if you have enough stamina. So having a whole bunch of stamina dishes is amazing. So that's why we're coming to these woods. It'll be a super big quality of life thing. You'll really appreciate this. So I know it seems out of the way and like a big waste of time, but this will be very, very nice. Alright, so once you get out of the woods and you stop seeing stamina mushrooms and stuff like that, just follow the right wall and collect some of these hardy radishes along the way. And then eventually you'll get to the point where the cliffside starts turning more like deserty looking, and then you'll find a bunch of zap shrooms here. Now zap shrooms can be found a little bit in the Gerudo Desert, but mostly you'll actually find them in the Akala region is where they're most commonly found. But zap shrooms are one of the best materials for getting shock resistance, which makes you completely immune to shock damage. So I know this might seem a little bit out of the way, but you'll be surprised how handy this is. So you want to gather all these zap shrooms and make a couple meals with them. This will give you level 3 shock resistance, and it makes you completely impervious to shock damage, which when you find a bunch of shock enemies, they're seriously terrifying, honestly. I think it's like one of the most stressful things in this game. So being able to have complete immunity for it is like really handy, and being able to have it so early in the game too is kind of crazy actually. So anyways, this is just a nice thing. I don't think, like a lot of people go to Mount Satori, I don't think most people realize that there is zap shrooms here. But yeah, totally worth it, so definitely grab these. Alright, that concludes all of the goodies here on Mount Satori. So we got all kinds of stuff, and so like we got healing and stamina and speed and stealth and resistance for heat, cold, and shock. Just about all the buffs in the entire game, and got pretty decent like materials for all of that stuff. It's nuts. We've got so much stuff. So anyways, it's really good. I'm going to fry those up a couple videos from now, but for now we're going to continue on with the main quest. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to throw a like on it, subscribe, all that good stuff, so that way you can hear more of my fabulous voice. As always, you guys are awesome. You have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.